Have you ever replayed a 5-second conversation for 3 hours straight, analyzed a text message like it was a legal document, made a pros and cons list for ordering coffee? If you're nodding right now, you're not broken. You're actually showing signs of something psychologists call analysis paralysis. And here's the twist: it happens more to smart people than anyone else. Today, we're breaking down exactly why the smartest minds overthink the most and what you can actually do about it. Section 1, the intelligence trap. Here's something counterintuitive. You'd think higher intelligence means faster, cleaner decisions. But research on cognitive processing shows the opposite happens for a lot of high IQ individuals. Smart people are trained by school, by work, by life to see more angles, more variables, more ways a plan could go wrong. Your brain isn't malfunctioning when it overthinks. It's doing exactly what it was rewarded for doing your whole life, finding every possible outcome before committing. The problem is, a brain built to spot 10 possibilities doesn't know when to stop at possibility number 3 and just act. This is sometimes called analysis paralysis, when the sheer volume of options short-circuits the decision itself. There's also a phenomenon psychologists refer to as the intelligence trap. The very skills that make you good at solving complex problems can make you worse at simple, fast decisions because your brain treats every choice, even picking a restaurant, with the same depth it would use for a business strategy. Section 2. Why your brain does this. Let's go a layer deeper. Overthinking isn't random. It's your brain's threat detection system working overtime. Thousands of years ago, overanalyzing a rustling bush could save your life. Today, that same system fires when you send a text and don't get a reply in 10 minutes. Your brain doesn't know the difference between possible predator and possible awkward silence at a party. It just knows uncertainty equals danger, and it wants to resolve that danger by thinking harder. Smart people are especially prone to this because they're good at imagining detailed scenarios. Your brain doesn't just think this could go wrong, it builds an entire movie of how it goes wrong, complete with dialogue and consequences. That vividness makes the imagined outcome feel almost real, which keeps you stuck in the loop. There's also a strong link between overthinking and something called intolerance of uncertainty, a documented psychological trait where not knowing an outcome feels more distressing than actually facing a bad outcome. So the brain keeps thinking, hoping that more analysis will produce certainty. It rarely does. Section 3. The hidden cost. Here's what nobody tells you about overthinking. It feels productive, but it isn't. When you're mentally chewing on a decision, your brain releases a small sense of control, like you're doing something about the problem. But studies on rumination consistently show that beyond a certain point, extra thinking doesn't improve decision quality. It just delays action and increases anxiety. This creates a loop. You overthink because it feels safer than deciding. But the longer you sit in that loop, the more anxious you get. And the more anxious you get, the more your brain insists it needs to think even more before acting. It's a trap disguised as diligence. And this shows up everywhere. Replaying old conversations, drafting and redrafting the same email, avoiding decisions until they make themselves. The tragic irony is that overthinkers trying so hard to make the perfect choice often end up making no choice at all, which is usually the worst outcome of them all. Section 4. How to actually break the cycle. So how do you use your intelligence without it working against you? A few practical strategies. 1. Set a decision deadline. Give yourself a fixed window. 10 minutes for small decisions, a day for bigger ones. When the timer runs out, you commit. This trains your brain that a decision doesn't need infinite information to be good enough. 2. Use the 70% rule, popularized in decision-making psychology. If you have about 70% of the information you'd ideally want, that's usually enough to move forward. Waiting for 100% certainty means you'll almost never act, because certainty rarely exists. 3. Externalize the thought loop. Write the spiraling thoughts down instead of replaying them in your head. Something about putting words on paper interrupts the mental loop. It turns a vague, circling feeling into a finite, visible list you can actually evaluate. 4. Ask, will this matter in 5 years? Most overthought decisions, what to text back, what to wear, which word to use in an email, won't matter next month, let alone in 5 years. Reserving deep analysis for decisions that actually deserve it frees up enormous mental energy. 5. Practice good enough on purpose. Deliberately make a handful of low-stakes decisions fast without a pros and cons list. This isn't about being reckless. It's retraining your brain to trust itself with smaller stakes so that muscle is there when bigger decisions come along. Overthinking isn't a character flaw. It's what happens when a powerful brain doesn't have an off switch for its own analysis. The goal isn't to stop thinking deeply, it's to learn when deep thinking is actually serving you and when it's just fear wearing the disguise of logic. If this resonated with you, you're probably someone who thinks a lot more carefully than most people around you, which is a strength. It just needs a boundary. If you want the next video in this series on how to stop replaying awkward moments in your head, hit subscribe because that one's coming soon. Like this video if you've ever overthought a text message for way too long. Comment same if this was way too accurate. See you in the next one.